not sure if you realize that actually our social context, be it our family context or neighborhood context, matters in our food choices or dietary preferences and habits. For instance, if you grew up in a household that's very health conscious, and members of your household, your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, your cousins only consume organic products, gluten-free products, or even a vegan diet, and this was what you observed growing up, and because we all know it's a no-brainer, we don't have a choice to pick the foods we consume, especially when we were very young. So instantaneously, we are also going to adopt this kind of diet, consuming gluten-free products, consuming organic food, consuming a vegan diet, and so on and so forth. So this is one example of how the context, in this case the family context, matters in our food consumption. And maybe also so happens the neighborhood we grew up in has supermarkets that has a section that sells organic gluten-free products, or has a whole food stores, has other health food stores, and because of that, all these healthy food and nutritious products are easily accessible growing up. So maybe partly because of that, instantaneously we are going to consume organic food, gluten-free products, or even a vegan diet, because this was how we were raised. Our parents, when we were infants or at a very young age, in our early childhood years, fed us with gluten-free products, organic products, or even a vegan diet. And maybe our food choices, our dietary habits may change when we leave home for college. But this still illustrates how and why our neighborhood and family context, or even our social context, matters. And this is portrayed in our dietary habits and food consumption. And if we grew up in yet a different neighborhoods, our parents are maybe working class manual laborers, and they were too busy working. They might be working multiple shifts, multiple jobs, trying to pay the bills, and maybe they had no time to cook, and because of that, maybe they bought fast food home from work for our lunch or dinners, and this was how we grew up with. And the stores, the grocery stores in our neighborhood sells a lot of chips, snacks, sweet and salty snacks, somewhat unhealthy food, and we may accustomed to this kind of food growing up. We think it's normal, it's part and parcel of life, until maybe we leave home for college, or we leave home after high school, and we realize there are different kinds of diets. There's a keto diet, there's a vegan diet, and some people consume gluten-free or organic food, and we may realize this in the later stages of our life. This is another example of how the context matter, be it our family context or neighborhood context. They both matter in our dietary habits and food consumption. And this also partly explains why people become addicted to tobacco or alcohol. Again, we see that the family and neighborhood context matter. Let's say if The father asked the son to go to the store to get a pack of cigarettes or a case of beer for him. If this has been going on for a while, and this is what the son or even the daughter observed growing up, he or she may get a pack of cigarettes himself or herself, or a can of beer for himself or herself. Again, the context matters in our diet. In many Asian families, usually, traditionally, historically, the poor people tended to consume the sweet potatoes, or we call the tikwa. That's the picture on the left here, as their daily subsistence, because they could not afford white rice. They thought the white rice was a type of luxury food items. White rice were more expensive, and usually the wealthier household consume white rice, not the poor people. The poor people could not afford to buy white rice, and they consume sweet potatoes. But they did not realize that actually sweet potatoes can be more nutritious than white rice. And this is another example of how the social context matter in our diet.